Hey everybody, Chris Webb here. Welcome to CWU Live, a best of episode today, rounding up everything we've done which we think's good. All of our work on telecoms and financial services in the show, postal, tech workers and beyond. All the community stuff we've done. We've had some brilliant guests. So a real sort of highlights reel, if you like, of the show so far. We're doing that because, as you know, it's election week. There's loads and loads going on in and outside of the union, so we thought we'd give the staff a chance to have a bit of a breather, bit of a restock, think about how we go again from next week and beyond. But we're sure in this 20 minutes video or so you'll enjoy what we've got to show you. Take it easy everyone, and as always, as Omar says, as I say if I'm hosting, or Greg if he's hosting, or any of our brilliant people who've been able to have the opportunity to engage with you over the last couple of months, this is your show, so put forward your ideas, let us know what we could do to improve, let us know who you want to see as guests. But for now, enjoy this reel and stick with your union.
On these cards, I've got 5 questions, and each week we'll be asking our main guest, Dave this week obviously, to answer the same 5 questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, go on. Let's go for it.
I've also written the answers underneath because I've done a little bit of research. You know, I've obviously had a bit of a chat with you, and I thought, okay, let me see if I can guess what he's going to say. So here's the first one.
Let's go for it.
If you were elected Prime Minister, what would be the first thing that you would do?
Well, I'd have to say, because it's a campaign that the CWU has run from the start, it would be to introduce a new deal for working people. And by saying that, it gives us a lot of scope to change a lot of things. So we've got Labour to a position now where the new deal for working people is one of their flagship policies in the forthcoming general election. So on top of things like ending fire and rehire, on top of things like introducing sectorial collective bargaining, which will drive up standards of pay and conditions everywhere, on top of repealing the anti-trade union laws to allow unions to organise more effectively. I'd introduce a 4-day week for working people. I'd introduce pay ratios between these leaders of companies and the workforce, so that never again can you have this huge gap. So there's a big agenda there. So it's definitely a new deal for working people. We definitely need it.
Love it. Vote for Dave. Vote for Dave, everyone.
I hope the Royal Mail has a strong future ahead, but as I said in that piece there, you know, privatisation has been kind of, I don't know, it's been a disaster. We always knew that it wasn't going to work. When you start giving all your profits to your shareholders and you continue to be paying your senior leaders hundreds of thousands of pounds, and then you're going to be in trouble, you know. And to be doing that at the same time as announcing that you're losing, what is it, $1 million a day? I don't know what the current figure is. It just doesn't quite add up to me.
When we first launched, and for the last 8 years, the whole campaign was being run under the hashtag Hunger Doesn't Wear Club Colours. And we're extremely keen from day one. Hunger isn't red, it isn't blue, it isn't black or white, it isn't green. Hunger doesn't wear club colours. People who are donating to the food bank don't ask someone if they're hungry, are they a red or a blue, or what club do they support. You donate to fan supporting food banks because you want to help and assist in your local community. Now, over that 8-year period, we've embellished it to say hunger doesn't wear club colours, but it doesn't have a race, doesn't have a religion, doesn't have a gender, doesn't have a sexual presence. Hunger doesn't discriminate, and nor do we.
International Women's Day. The focus is quite obvious. It's on women, but we're talking about all women. So not only cisgender females, but transgender women too. And on the last day of this month, actually, we also have Transgender Day of Visibility. So to both acknowledge it and also hear from a woman doing a lot of work on inclusivity, here's Sarah Pitt.
I'm Sarah, and I'm a trans woman, which means that I was born a male and I'm now a female. I began my transition in 2017. The union has been terrific. I took advice from members of the LGBT people in the union. I've been representing the union for LGBT affairs for the last 4 or 5 years, and I've got a good response in various parts of the country. The people against us would have us painted as troublemakers, but on the whole, trans people and various types of transgender people are just people trying to get on with their lives and trying to live their lives to the best ability they can. When I first started transitioning, the person I live with now, my best friend, took me in at no cost to herself at all, and was there for me. And that's what I try to be for my friends, try to be there for them when they need me. And that's what I try to do for our members, try to be there for them. Because I know people were there for me when I needed them, and I want to be there for them when they need them. And I'm sure that the people we've got coming up behind us are the same, and they will be there for the trans people and LGBT people when they need them. Transitioning is a difficult thing for some people, and it's not an easy ride. I mean, as I say, I make it paint it out quite rosy, but I've had family members who haven't spoken to me for 7 years, which breaks my heart. But I've got friends that have had serious mental illness, and a sense of not well-being is very prevalent in transgender people. The union is very good on mental health. We have got mental health ambassadors, and we help everybody with mental health, and especially we are trying to help our members. The best way someone can help is just be an ally to trans people and other LGBT people. Be there for them, support them, go to prides with them, go to equality conferences, learn as much as you can and be a support. The best advice I've ever been given is be yourself and don't worry about other people. And if you need to do it, do it. It's not a choice, it's something that has to be done. Transgender people don't choose to be transgender. It's not an easy life. You lose family members, you lose friends, but you gain smashing friends and new groups of friendships. Don't hold it into yourself. Look for help. There's plenty of help out there if you need it. Come to us in the union and we'll point you in the right direction and we'll help you in every way we can.
The No Take for Apartheid campaign started in the US. In the UK, it's union-led. Our members in Google are the ones leading it. They're trying to get Google to drop Project Nimbus, which is about getting cloud infrastructure for the Israeli, for the entire Israeli state, including the Ministry of Defense and the IDF. So when you see footage from Israeli drones showing people being shot at when they're trying to access aid convoys, how does that data get to your TV? It gets to your TV through data servers that the IDF or that the Israeli government controls and that the IDF uses. They then process the image and they send it to, and they leak it to the press or whatever. But all of this is infrastructure that workers in Google are being forced to set up and create, and it's being used to kill innocent people and to subject an entire people to an apartheid regime.
Right. So it's very important to be aware of that. And
it's an industrial issue. It's the work that we're doing, and it's going out directly to kill and oppress millions of people.
You get nowhere. Managers will pick you off, and Norman's absolutely right. It's a difficult time to stand up and be counted to be a rep, but you've got massive support behind you, and I'd say that to anyone considering becoming a representative of this great union, that you'll get all the support that you need. But we have to stand together. We have to come through the bad times, we come together through the good times as well. So long as we stand together, we will make improvements.
It was Royal Mail who broke these walks. Those imposed provisions under Grant McPherson were an absolute disgrace, and they're the reason why people are leaving Royal Mail in the droves and the quality of services on the floor. And the worst bit that I hear from postmen and women every day when I'm going around is they're getting blamed for this. So our members are getting treated like something unpleasant by their managers because they can't complete a walk that is not completable because of the targets and the setup that Royal Mail have been put in place. So I'll guess quickly then, my question is, how will a change to USO fix that problem?
Strength is in our numbers. So we need to make sure that all of our reps, all of our branches, all of us are keen to increase the membership, make sure that we're talking to people who are non-members. Just for our members in the workplace, talk to your colleagues, talk to your members, the other members of your team. Ask them if they're a member of the CWU. And if they're not, then either get in touch with your local branch so that they can have a conversation with them, or actually put them in touch with the local branch. Because strength is in our numbers. A lot of these campaigns that we've just been talking about will only be won with a huge union membership and great membership density. We really need to grow this union now to make sure that right across the sectors that we represent members, that we have got masses of members, so that there's nowhere for anybody to go where there isn't a CWU membership presence.
We're at conference, CWU Conference 24. We've travelled all the way to Bournemouth to the biggest union event of the year to bring you the latest news coming out of it. Now, this is my first time here, so I want to see what it's all about. Come on. These are some of the stalls that are featuring at the conference. Let's go and see what is going on. Have I got any cash? I ain't got any cash, no, sorry. I've got my card on my phone, if that helps. Yeah? Yeah? Oh, go on then. What can I win? Becky, what's going on here?
So we are the union's charity, the Communication Workers Union Humanitarian Aid. We've been running since 1995, delivering aids to disadvantaged children within the UK, abroad, and in Africa.
And how's it been so far, like, in this conference this
Yeah,
year?
we've done pretty well. It's been a bit quiet, obviously, because we're upstairs, but we've had a steady amount of footfall and we've been putting it on social media, so it's been coming up on the screen, I think, in conference. So we've had a few people come up and say hello for that.
Okay, and what is it that we can win then if we decide to buy a ticket?
So we've got the bottles, we're going to have some vouchers. I think the minimum amount on that will be £50. And there's the messy shirt that you're interested in.
What is this an actual shirt?
Yeah. But also, while we're talking about football, we sponsor a football team in Tanzania.
No.
Street Kids. So we sponsored their football team, and to kind of raise awareness for them, but also obviously raise a bit of money, we created football shirts for the team. They are cool. Do you want to try it on?
Yeah, please, go on then. Oh my God, is it going to be fine? How's this? Yeah? Are we liking this?
I like it.
Are we liking it enough to get it?
I mean, the colour suits you, I'm not going to lie.
You're just saying that. You just want the sale, come on. Ah. What is First Class Credit Union?
Credit union is a credit union that supports workers in workplaces with financial difficulties through savings, loans, debt consolidation. We've got a membership, 5,000 members from CWU, and also from the Civil Service Union, PCS, we have another 4,800 members from there, and then we have other industries with roughly about 1,000 members from there.
Given the current cost of living crisis, there are probably a lot of members out there with financial difficulties at the moment. Have you seen that over the recent years?
Over the last number of months, we've had quite a number of members phoning up for minimal amount withdrawals from their savings because of putting food on the table weekly. So we're having members in real financial difficulties because of the cost of living, fuel increases, the cost of food, withdrawing 20, 30, £10, £50 on a weekly basis.
So then, to members out there, what piece of advice would you give them if they were going through difficulties at the moment?
The biggest piece of advice I would give to members, the credit unions, First Class Credit Union, we're here to help. There's a lot of members who feel embarrassed, who feel shameful, who don't know how to speak. Pick the phone up, go on the website, contact us. We have people who will speak face-to-face with them. We have people who speak to them directly on the phone. It's not a chat box, it's not a web chat. It's an individual who will help them, support them through that financial difficulty.
Right, obviously the union is split up between postal and telecoms. So over in this big hall over here, which we'll show you inside of, is where postal is being talked about. You've got a huge panel of members there across all levels. In the other hall over here, everything telecoms is being discussed. And as you may know, Utah recently became a part of CWU as well. So tech is also being talked about.
Well, the real importance of conferences like this, where you bring everybody together, it's very well run in the sense that you get a chance to speak to representatives across every part of the CWU's membership. So, whatever company is organised within the CWU, they will have a representative here, representatives here, and we have to talk about the wider picture. So you're bringing everybody together. So it's about unity. It's about discussing, though, in an atmosphere where you can think about the issues and the challenges and come forward with policies that really support our members going forward.
One major part of the CWU's ethos is that we always believe that the political and the industrial are intertwined, and you can't really have one without the other. So obviously the laws that govern this country affect what we can do in the workplace. They affect every aspect of our members' lives. What's happening in the economy affects everyone's budget at home. And we can see that obviously over the last 2 years, you had the Liz Truss debacle. It's obviously hit our members hard alongside the cost of living crisis. These things are all interconnected, and that's why I think we've been experiencing so many of the issues that a lot of our members have been experiencing over the last few years, is because everything has always been twisted in favour of the wealthy and large corporations instead of working people and the majority of people who keep this country running.
60% of the people who utilise them food pantries that we do are in work. You know, they're in work. We've had post office workers there. You know, when you were on strike, we've had post office workers there. We've had nurses. So we've had professional people who you think would never ever need to utilise a food bank. Going into them realms, you know, the self-employed, you know, people who are on 0-hour contracts. So there's a huge issue in this country as well with regards how the whole wiring of employment is working for people. You know, that needs fundamentally changing the nature of employment in this country, and we can see it with what we do. So that's what the right to food is. It's about community kitchens, it's about accountability, it's about making sure we've got things in place which can tackle what we're seeing, because, as I said, you know, what we're seeing now, your graph shows you, it's completely unacceptable. And I go back to it, it's the 6th richest country in the world. You know, it's unacceptable. Could anyone name any privatisation, any sector what it's worked in? Because I've asked this question on the doorstep when people have talked about nationalisation. Just give me an example of where it's actually worked for the country, for the taxpayer, and I haven't heard one yet. So these are the conversations that are going to have to take place once we hopefully get the levers of power.
I think Nigel Farage is pretty vile. I think it's clear that he's dangerous. He, you know, is a millionaire that's managed to present himself as the voice of the average person. He has told, you know, been on the side that's told multiple lies. You know, you think about the investment that was promised for the NHS before Brexit. But he's found a platform, hasn't he? And I think he's found it for two reasons. You know, one, I think, as I've said a few times today, I think there's been a complete normalisation of right-wing populism in the UK, and that is something that has been, you know, normalised as much by political parties as the mainstream media. But I think other actors have vacated the pitch, as Dave's just said, to actually advocate for the sort of reform we want to see. And we've said this a few times today, but informed, rational, calm conversations about economic models, about the differences it would make if we had better regulation of the labour market and so on, are missing from those debates. And instead what you get are these really emotionally visceral discussions with sound bites where someone like Farage, like him or not, thrives. Like, he thrives in those spaces. And he is willing to say the most shameless and often untrue things to squirm through an interview, to get some people's support. And he's been very successful, because even though in some ways he's been a bit of a kingmaker, you know, of Brexit, he hasn't been the one shouldering the political consequences of how disastrous it's been and, you know, how little progress has been with the NHS. So I think we and others need to start having, as Dave said, more conversations about, okay, you have all these views on immigration. We don't agree with you, but we want to have conversations about these things that are going to change everybody's lives. And they have terrible policies on those things. They don't just have terrible policies on the things that we would expect. They have them across the board. So I think we need a different way of dealing with him, because you're right, he's counterfeit, but he's cutting through.
The Tories' manifesto says all the stuff that we've been campaigning on for the last 3 years and have taken loads of strike action, they're not going to negotiate with us anymore. They're going to put it into legislation, what they call rail reforms. Taking away your rights as a trade union are going to be put into a new Railways Act. Now, we are not even concentrating on it very much because we don't think they're going to get in, but people need to contrast where we might go with Labour with where the Tories are saying we're going to go. They're going to double down on the minimum services, ban us from striking, and then when they've banned you from striking, they will legislate all of our terms and conditions and say, you're only getting this. And if you want to do something about it, that's now illegal to take action to defend it. So I know it's not being highlighted what they're going to do because they're banging on about tax and all this stuff. But they've got a lot stored up for us. And if Farage and his mob pull them even further to the right, we will be in deep difficulty as a trade union combine across all of our society, because they'll probably put us out of business and put us away, some of us.
I mean, I agree with everything.
Probably me.
Probably you're number one.
Free McLint, start it right now.
You've got to expose what they're saying. They want to privatise the NHS, which most people this country don't support. But we've also got to stop patronising working class people. So there's a problem on the left.
Yeah.
If working class people say there's a problem in my town, we haven't got enough resources to deal with an influx of people and then cope with that, you've got to deal with that. You can't say that's not true. Yeah. And it's happening in Ireland at the minute. You've got remote villages where people are being housed, quite rightly, and put into places to accommodate them. But you can't just say to people, this isn't a real problem. So working class people and working class politicians who are appealing to us have to get a consensus about difficult issues like shortages of housing, the migration issue itself. There has to be a left response to that. And working class people aren't expecting that there'll be no immigration policy. Now, I don't know if that upsets some people or is anti-woke or whatever. I don't care. I just know that there's an awful lot of caring working class people who want some answers to these problems. The problems aren't the people, the problems are the shortages. Now, and Starmer just, not Starmer, sorry about that, Keir, Farage just exploits the problem and keeps picking at the problem, whereas we need a set of responsible politicians who are going to deal with the problem and provide ordinary men and women in this country with some solutions to some real difficulties that they're facing. And you can't walk away from those issues.
This is the issue, though, isn't it? In general, as you say, the policies we've had for years now have created in some ways either a scarcity of resources or a scarcity of services or no services. And that's what, as you say, Farage and his ilk are exploiting. But we don't have people like Labour filling the vacuum and saying, this is what we're going to do.
Exactly. These are the answers to these problems. And that includes an immigration policy, but it also includes a housing policy, an education policy, a jobs policy that's going to sort out a lot of these issues in areas where there are shortage. And the left has just got to face up to that working class people want solutions to some of these issues and they're not getting them from the mainstream politicians.